Here we are chatting it up with Anthony Galiano. Anthony, you are a volunteer chair at Access Lending Academy, amongst many other things that you get to do with your vast experience in the mortgage lending industry. And we all get to meet at MIC 22 coming up in a few days. So I wanted to chat with all of our volunteer chairs, you being one of them, to learn more about why you are part of Access Lending Academy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So for me, it was a really easy thing, right? You know, I've known Paul and had some conversations with Paul. He talked about Access Lending Academy and what he was doing, and immediately I wanted to learn more. You know, hearing what we are doing, not only for the learners, but what we're doing for our industry, I just had to be part of it in any way that I could. You know, thinking about giving the opportunities to bring new people into our industry and what it can do for our industry in so many ways, from, you know, starting with individuals that are now looking at a role within the mortgage lending industry as a career and not just a job. You know, this industry has given so many of us an opportunity to really have extremely successful, both personal and professional, and giving other people an opportunity. You know, when I started in this industry a long time ago, you know, it wasn't that it was difficult to get in, but you had to know someone. You know, you knew someone that worked somewhere and they talked to you about it. They made an introduction, you went for some interviews. You know, the industry was a lot different back then, you know, and getting into this industry was probably one of the best decisions I've made. You know, I've learned to love this industry with all of the ups and downs that go with it. And, you know, giving other people an opportunity to get into what we've all found to be such a rewarding career is amazing.
I love that. I like that you're almost nostalgic about how you got into the industry and what brought you in, and you keep using this word opportunity and giving opportunity. Do you feel like somebody gave you that opportunity? Is that why you're so passionate about creating opportunity for others?
Yeah, I think, you know, within the industry, everything that you do, you're creating opportunity for yourself in the work that you do every day. But it's not always easy to get that first opportunity to prove yourself, to show what you're capable of. You know, how many people have we all talked to that ask what you do for a living, and you talk about, you know, the industry that you're in, and they say, gosh, I'd love to do that. How do I get into that industry? And back when I started, there wasn't an NMLS, so there was no licensing requirement that, you know, a company had to sponsor you and go through that process. You know, it's a lot harder for organizations to be willing to take a chance on someone that comes from outside of the industry without much experience and prove themselves. You know, you talk about how nostalgic I am, and there's a reason for it. You know, when I started in this industry, the organization that I started with, in my opinion, had the absolute best education program to learn about the mortgage industry. And there were so many people that I worked with in my career in the mortgage industry, and kind of seeing all of those people today when I travel to conferences or I, you know, make phone calls to prospects, things of that nature, you know, seeing our vendor partners and seeing how many of those people started at the same organization I did. It's really amazing to think that 20 plus years ago, when we all started, where everyone is today, spread out across the country and in every type of, you know, organization within our industry, whether it's a lender, a bank, a credit union, whether it's one of our vendor partners or a tech company, we're all over the place. And that's what I envision for Access Lending Academy. I'm excited to fast forward 20 years and see all of the graduates from Access and where they are within the industry and what they're doing. I think that's going to be exciting.
I love that. So when you're talking, I'm a visual person. I'm imagining people being interconnected with each other and really making a difference in the industry. And there's one of the things that we say at Access Lending Academy, we really pay attention to each one of our learners, the individual, is really important as they progress through the educational modules and through our internship. But we also really talk about the industry as a whole, and we talk about this word lift, right? Really providing an opportunity for everyone in the industry to interact and engage with Access Lending Academy through our various services and our various modules that we offer. So tell me a little bit about, as a chair, as a volunteer chair, investing that own personal time that you have into the organization. What is your bigger vision for the industry overall in relationship to that mission statement that we have about providing lift in the industry?
Absolutely. So, we talk about the lift in relation to our learners and the lift that we're providing to them by going through Access Lending Academy, learning about the industry, getting a paid internship to really get some hands-on experience, and then, having Access Lending Academy work with our partners to find a permanent home for them. But that's not the only lift I see with what Access Lending Academy is doing. I think we are giving lift to the industry as a whole. I think part of, if you look at our industry and where it's, come from when I started in the industry 20 plus years ago to where it is now, there's been a lot of changes, but there's so many people that have spent an entire career in this industry. And, we do have a lot of ups and downs. We're heading into a slower part of the market right now. And we tend to go back to basics, and we tend to go back to what we did before. Bringing these new individuals into our industry gives a fresh look, and they get to see our industry and bring new ideas into what we're doing, because they're coming from outside of our industry. They're coming with their own set of experiences, whether it's professional or life experiences, and they're bringing that fresh outlook into what we're doing. They get to give us a new way of looking at something, and they get to ask questions about, why do you do it that way? Wouldn't it make more sense? Or, have you ever thought of doing it this way? So it's giving a lift to our industry by bringing fresh ideas in, and it's all starting with Access.
I love that. You're really talking about innovation, right? About making a change almost subversively, really diversifying our pool of talent and having a more inclusive approach to who gets to sit at the table. We all know that you're talking about your experience, you're talking about when you started in the industry. When you look around and you see who the current leaders are, I think it goes without saying that we can confidently want to see more diversity in leadership. And that starts with who you're hiring at entry-level positions, how you create access and opportunity for stepping up in the industry. So I want to ask you a couple of questions about the industry overall. You've mentioned and hinted at the shifts and the changes that we're seeing, and you've even mentioned the shifts and changes you've seen in your career. Tell me a little bit about how you feel, or what you think, what your opinion is on what we're experiencing at the moment, the shift that we're anticipating, and how that might impact the industry, and how we might be able to pivot, to use a well overused word, to pivot to meet each other better, but also our consumers.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, the mortgage industry, if you look back at the history and the ups and downs of what takes place, you have an interest rate change one way or the other, and that's going to dictate what organizations do. We've been talking about margin compression for quite a long time right now, even with volume being as high as it's been, and that margin compression is going to get even tighter as we look forward. Interest rates are moving up. There's not a lot of inventory in the market right now. And then you have that margin compression added to it. It makes things, it makes it very difficult for organizations to try and figure out, what's my next step. I look at this as an opportunity for organizations to really take a step back, look at their process, look at the way that they're doing things, look at the employees that they currently have. Do they have the right individuals within the organization to make the shift that they need to make? Companies companies tend to almost slow down at this time. They're looking at ways, do I have to start laying people off? Do I have just enough volume to keep the staff that I have here? But we all know what happens in the industry. As soon as there's a small change in interest rates, volume ticks up a little bit. Now you're scrambling to hire new people to bring them back in. Now is the best opportunity for organizations to start looking at ways to create more efficiencies within their processes. People are looking at technology today. And one of the things I talk about often is technology is great. And I am a big proponent of technology. I think there are so many areas within the mortgage manufacturing process that could use some additional technology. The challenge is organizations hear technology, and yes, we want technology. Yes, we want automation. Yes, we want the process to be better, but they're not sure what that looks like. They talk to a friend in the industry that says, hey, we just implemented this new platform and it's doing wonders for us. But their process may not be the same. So just getting that platform and not knowing what they're actually getting or what to do with it may not be the answer. So it's really looking at the process overall, working with someone that can really come in, take a look at what your process is, take a look at, how you're manufacturing that loan, take a look at all of the steps and look for ways to create efficiencies within that, and then determine which technology makes the most sense for your organization.
So every time I speak to you or to any one of our volunteers, whether they're board members or chairs like yourself, I'm just struck by the enormous amount of intellectual property and emotional intelligence and social intelligence you all bring to the table in the industry. There's such a wealth of knowledge and passion and information that you share with each other about what it is that you do and how the interconnectivity works. And one of the things that it comes back to over and again is education. Everything you just talked about is really building those relationships and educating each other on the possibility of what else can be innovated, what else can be done. So I'm really excited to be at the innovation conference of all things with all of our board members and chairs. MIC 22 is coming up in a few days. We're going to be serving champagne, I believe, which is totally, I think that's Paul's sort of like magic working, because he loves himself a glass of champagne more than anything. Second only to Access Lending Academy. So that's the order it goes in. So we're all going to be there. Tell me a little bit about why you think it's important to show up at these conferences. There's going to be I think about 250, 270 people present, representing all manner of companies in the industry. Why do you think it's important to be there and to continue to connect and build relationships in the industry?
So it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, right? Where I started in this industry and all the people I kind of grew up in this industry and where they are today. To me, conferences are so much more. You can look at a conference as how many meetings do we have scheduled? How many new prospects are we talking to? How many deals did we get out of that conference? And absolutely, that's important. What's also important is the relationships that you continue to build and continue to foster at these conferences, because what that does now is it gives us all an opportunity. When I was talking about an example of a lender talking to a friend of theirs that's another lender and talking about the new automation that they just brought in, that's possible because of the relationships that they built through the years of attending these conferences, doing all of these things. So when you get to meet with people that really well, that you continue to talk to, you get to have conversations about what they're doing and what organization they're with and what are they bringing to the industry. And it just gives you, it's really helpful in continuing to build those relationships with those individuals hear about, you talk about the education, and you get to learn about all the new things that are happening in the industry. You get to meet new individuals that are bringing, whether it's new automation, new technology, new software, a new process as a whole, a new mortgage company just started, or whatever it is. You get to meet with those individuals and get those introductions. As being a volunteer at Access Lending Academy, that's where it's also important, and why I'm so excited to be there, to tell the story about Access, to meet so many other people, and re-engage with the contacts that I have there, so we can continue to talk about the importance of Access Lending Academy and having those relationships that I've spent my career building. It's a lot easier to have those conversations and have people listen to why Access is relevant, why it's important, and what it can do for our industry.
I love it. I'm excited to be there. I did take a peek at our sponsors who are going to be there. I did get to have a conversation with Paul about who he's excited to meet, and his answer was everyone. Which I will take as a true extrovert onto myself and say, yes, if you are someone or anyone at MIC 22, be sure to connect with us. Now, Anthony, you are the first chair I'm speaking to who's actually gone above and beyond, like overachiever as you are. You've said your background. Not only is your background Access Lending Academy's logo, which wow.
Yeah.
Also, you're wearing a button. So if anybody wants to who doesn't know you yet, which I'm sure there's like 3 people who don't know you yet, but want to connect with you, you'll probably be wearing that button. Yes,
I will absolutely have this button, and this button proudly says, "Ask me about Access Lending Academy." And if you would like to learn about Access Lending Academy and hear how you can support Access Lending Academy and the learners that we are lifting into our industry and providing opportunities to, and really providing additional growth opportunities for the organizations that hire these folks from us, please don't hesitate to come up, say hello. If you would like a pin, I will even bring some extra pins, and you too can wear and proudly sport the Access Lending Academy logo.
I love it. Good. All right. So that's a wrap. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me. We'll be having champagne on, I believe, May 3rd. Follow us on LinkedIn. Follow us on LinkedIn, and you will be sure to see where we'll be. And if you can't find us, just look for the button that says Access Lending Academy. Thank you, Anthony, for your time. I really appreciate it.